welcome to TV Storytime. I'm Miss Lisa and I'm here with Miss Melissa today, and we're going to read some stories to you about books. The first book we're going to read is called The Little Library. This is written by Margaret McNamara. Okay, let's see what's going on in this story. One breezy spring afternoon, Mr. Tifton told his class, "Our new library is finally open. Time to meet our new librarian." "I'm excited," said Jeremy. "Me too," said Charlie and Alex together. "Me three," said Molly. "I could stay here and sharpen pencils," said Jake. Jake was slowly a careful reader. Sometimes he read the same page more than once so that he could figure everything out. When it came to library day, Jake felt left behind. The new library smelled like fresh paint and wood. "Welcome, everybody," said a friendly-looking person. "I'm Beck Good. Please call me Librarian Beck, and I'm here to help you find the books you love." "When you open a book, you open your mind," Eleanor announced. "And when you open a book," said Jake. "Why don't you explore the library for a while," said the librarian, "and this will help me get to know you." Kimmy headed toward the science section. Alex and Charlie hunted for a story that they could read together. Tara found art books and looked for paintings by women. Jake wandered over to the corner shelf and he studied the bookcase to see how the pieces fit together. He ran his finger along the grooves in the wood. After a while, Librarian Beck came to talk to him. "See what you think of this," they said. Librarian Beck put a heavy book into Jake's hands. It was old and worn. "Woodworking for Young Hands," read Jake. He opened the book. The first pages were filled with drawings of tools. Jake already knew the names of some of them. "That one is an awl," he said. "My grandpa has a workshop." Jake handed the book back to them. "This has a lot of pictures," she said, "so it doesn't really count as reading." "Says who?" says the librarian. "A lot of people," said Jake. "Not me," said Librarian Beck. Jake checked the book out. He let it sit for a while when he got home because he had other things to do. After a few days, he read the instructions for the first project and then the second, but they didn't make a lot of sense to him. The next library day, Jake's book was due back. Slowly, he handed it over. "The instructions are pretty hard, but it looks like you got some good ideas and took some good notes," said the librarian. "Do you want to keep it for another week?" "Sure," Jake said. Jake spent the next week reading more of the book, still very slowly. The more he read, the more curious he became about the things made of wood. He looked at the way the three legs of a stool supported the seat. He noticed that some tables had sharp corners and some were round. He wondered how to bend wood to make the back of a chair. The next 3 library days, Jake renewed Woodworking for Young Hands. Librarian Beck had found other books that she thought that he would like, so Jake checked them out too. On a warm Sunday morning, Librarian Beck had an announcement to make. "All library books need to be returned by the end of school," they said. "That way the library will be organized and ready when you come back the next year." "Wait," said Jake, "the library is going to be closed all summer?" "Of course it is," said Robert. Jake looked down at the Woodworking for Young Hands. He hadn't realized that he was going to have to give it back so soon. That night, Jake had an idea. He turned to a page he had marked in the book, and then he looked around his house. He found a yardstick and a screwdriver and some 3-inch screws, and then he called Gramps. Over the next 2 weekends, Jake spent a lot of time in Grandpa's workshop. Jake measured and marked the plywood. Gramps cut along the lines that Jake made. Gramps drilled holes. Jake screwed in the screws. Jake attached the hinges and affixed the plexiglass and painted. Gramps and Jake didn't talk a lot while they worked because they didn't need to. And at last they were done. Do you guys have any idea what they're making?
I think it's a birdhouse.
A birdhouse? What do you think they're making?
I think it's a birdhouse.
Do you think? Okay, let's see. On the last library day of the year, Jake brought something very big and heavy into Mr. Tifton's classroom. It was covered with a large cloth. "It's for Librarian Beck," he said. Everyone in the class tried to guess what Jake had made. "It looks like a giant bird cage." That's what you guys were saying, right? "It's better than a bird cage," said Jake. "It looks like a dollhouse," said Alex. "No, not a dollhouse." Tara and Jeremy helped carry Jake surprised into the library. Jake pulled off the cloth. "It's a little library," said Jake. "You built that?" asked Jeremy. "With some help from Woodworking for Young Hands," said Jake, "and my Gramps." "Where's the little library?" asked Kimmy. "A little library is a place you can share books. People take a book out and put another book back in, and then they replace it with another book, and it's all for free. So while our big library is closed, this little library can stay open." Isn't that cool?
Yeah. We have that at our park.
Yeah, there are some at our, yeah, you're right. On the very last day of school, after class had scrubbed their desks and taken out the trash and written in the memory book, Mr. Tifton led them outside. There was Librarian Beck with the school custodian, and they were standing next to the little library. "I have filled it up with books," said Librarian Beck. "You want to come and take one out?" Said, Jake, she asked. "That's okay," said Jake. "I'm going to wait until I can check out Woodworking for Young Hands again next year." All that summer, Jake's little library stayed busy. People put all kinds of books in and took all kinds of books out. One hot day in July, a package arrived for Jake. He tore open the brown paper. Inside of it was...
The Woodworking Old Hands.
Yep, Woodworking for Young Hands. And on the first page, he saw withdrawn. And then there was a little note. "Dear Jake, you love this book more than anyone has ever loved it in a long time. Withdrawn means that the book does not belong to the library anymore. It belongs to you. See you next year and keep reading. Librarian Beck." And so he got his very own book, didn't he? After he had made the little library. Now, today you've noticed I have put some little books up here on our flannel graph. I want to tell you guys that when you come to the library and you want to check out books, how do you find a book? Well, I mean,
Look around.
Yeah, you do, don't you? There's lots of words on a book cover. How do we know where to put the books on the shelf?
Because it has the end of the person's name.
Right, on the very end of the spine has the person who wrote the book, right? And so like this book is in the M's. And so some of our favorite books like Pig the Pug, it's not under the word pig, is it? It's under Blabley because he's the one who wrote it. And so you would have to go in the B's to find that book. Okay, and then our Olivia, I don't know if you guys have read the Olivia books, but that's by Ian Falconer. So you wouldn't go to the O's, you would go to the F's because of the person's last name who wrote it. And so what we're going to do today is I have given you guys some books, right? And we're going to put them in A, B, C order as if we were at the library. So what comes before the letter B? What comes very first? A, right? Who has the A book?
I do.
Okay, can you come put it up here? Which book would we find if we would go to the A section of our library?
Because of the person's name.
Right, John Agee wrote Lion Lessons, and so there's our A. So we have A, B, what comes next?
C.
C, who has the book that has a C on it?
He does.
That one. That's an Eric Carle book. He's one of my favorite authors. And he wrote Walter the Baker. All right. So we have A, B, C.
But wait a minute. We have Walter the Baker, but it doesn't belong to the library.
Oh, is it your own book? Cool. All right. So we have A, B, C, D, E. Here's an F. What comes after F?
H.
G, H. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Which book do we have that has an author who has an H for their last name? Oh, the Where's Waldo books. That was written by Martin Hanforth. H-I-J, then we have K. Does someone have an L, M, N-O-P?
I think he does.
I think our R is actually the next one. So I didn't do enough for all of them. You can come put it up here. Okay, so Elmer was written by David McKee, so we would have to go in the M's. Go ahead and stick it right here next to this yellow one. Yeah, I Want a Sister is by Tony Ross. Okay, so you wouldn't look in the I's if you want those books.
Yeah.
You have to look under the author's last name in the R's. Okay, R-S-T-U-V. Where's our V book?
He does.
Yeah. Now that's Jumanji. A lot of people love that book, and that was written by Chris Van Allsburg. So to find that book, we have to go to the V's.
Not the C's.
Yeah, right. You got it, girl. V, W. We have one more. X, Y, Z. We got just one more. This is a sampling of some of the books we have in the library and how we organize them. Oh, you guys like the pigeon books? Don't let the pigeon ride the bus and Piggy and Elephant?
Yeah.
Okay. So you wouldn't go to the P's for the title of the book, would we? Who wrote those?
You go to the W.
Yeah, for Mo Willems. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys wrote a book, where would your book be in the alphabet? What's your last name? Just what letter does it start with?
Rose.
Your last name starts with a T, right?
Yeah.
So if you wrote a book, your book would be in the T, or your book would be
In the library.
in the library with all the other T books, right?
But mine's gonna be a superhero book.
Oh, you're gonna write one? Cool. And then Ezra, where would your books be if you wrote a book? What's your last name? What does it start with?
E.
That's your first name. What about your last name? Does it start with a P? Yeah. So you would have, your books would be in the P, okay?
But mine will be in the A because that's after the M.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, so boys and girls at home, I want you to think about it. If you were writing a story, what's your last name? Where would you be found in the alphabet in our library, on our shelves, if you wrote a book? Be pretty cool, huh? All right, so Miss Melissa has another story for us all about books.
Wow, that was a great job, guys. Okay, here's our next book. Where are my books? We just love books, don't we, as librarians?
Mom has never been obsessed to be with you. Where are my books?
Spencer loved books. His favorite bedtime book was Night Night Narwhal. Sometimes he read it aloud. Every night, Spencer put the book back where it belonged. That way he would always be able to find it. We always put our books back where we belong them, right? Until one morning, where's my book? Spencer looked everywhere, but it was no use. Night Night Narwhal was gone. But Todd was a toad. Oops, I'm sorry. That evening he chose Tenacious Todd. It was okay, but Todd was a toad, and toad books were supposed, or amphibians, and amphibian books were supposed to be read right after lunch. When Spencer woke the next morning, Tenacious Todd was gone.
Who's taking all his books?
Every morning, another book was missing. Next to go was Sin in the Clownfish. Then Beluga vanished. And Sea Monkey and Bob went missing. Things were getting out of hand. Spencer vowed to find out what is going on.
Who's stealing his books? They're not even asking.
No, I don't know. His father did not know what happened to Night Night Narwhal. Spencer's mother had no idea either. Nor had she seen Tenacious Todd, Sin in the Clownfish, Beluga, or any of Spencer's other missing books. That only left one person.
Who could it be?
Where are my books? Think she took his books?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Nope, she didn't. And it was time for a new plan. That night, Spencer set a trap with his copy of Space Frog Sam. You see what he's doing?
Yeah.
He put a rope around his narwhal and his book. The next morning, it was time for Spencer to get his books back.
Who took his books?
Where are my books?
He did. He took.
What do you think? Looks
I
like
think it was like a sheet to me.
Spencer ran faster. The thief was just around the corner. Aha! He said, "That's my book."
Why did they take the books? The squirrels.
Spencer didn't know squirrels like to read. It gave him a great idea. Spencer told the squirrels they could borrow his books, but there would be rules. Just like at the library, they had to return the books they borrowed before they could borrow more. But they didn't have to leave anything behind. Spencer even helped them pick out books. He chose one for himself, too. And he promised to read it aloud.
Yay.
That was a great book.
That was a great book. The squirrels like to read, too, huh?
Yeah, I do too.
All right. Well, our last book, of course, is about books again. And it says, library books are not for eating. Look at this.
Hey, I saw that at the last library.
Somebody ate this book.
I didn't.
Are you supposed to eat books?
No.
No. But look what's in there. Do you think
It's a snake.
a snake or maybe a
Dinosaur.
dinosaur? Do you think he likes to eat books?
Yeah.
Look, here's his platter. Do you think he ate all those books?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to eat books?
No.
No. So let's find out what happens here. Library books are not for eating. Oh, look at that one. Look at that. There's not much left of that one.
Nah. I'm never going to eat a page.
All right. The day Miss Bronte came to school, story time was extra cool. She told great jokes and was never mean. It was the biggest smile you've ever seen. One small problem, couldn't beat it. Once she read a book.
Was eat it.
Do you think that's what it says next?
Yeah.
She'd eat it. You're right. Look at that great big mouth. In goes that book.
Yucky.
She'd say the end, and you'd hear a crunch. Then 3 or 4 more books would be eaten by lunch. Miss Bronte, the kids would keep repeating, library books are
Not for eating.
not for eating. Look at all of those kids.
I wish they had a different barbarian.
That would be better, huh? Miss Bronte promised with a roar that she'd be eating books no more.
But she did.
But as soon as story time was done, oops, there would go another one. Look at that book.
She did promise. She lied.
That's not good either, is it? Miss McSmarty called her in. Miss Bronte, where do I begin? You're eating books and that isn't right. You need to curb your appetite. I think you know where this is leading. Library books
Are not for eating.
Good job. Miss Bronte promised with a roar that she'd be eating
She's
books
lying.
no more.
But she was lying.
We'll see. When Miss McSmarty turned her head, she ate all of her books instead. Every book on the shelf went down her mouth.
That's very bad.
At lunchtime, when she ate 2 more, the lunchroom lady stomped the floor. Miss Bronte, you must change your diet. Books taste yucky. Don't deny it. Instead of books, try something new. My cottage cheese and meatball stew. We've got to rearrange your feeding because library books are
not for eating.
Good job. Miss Bronte promised with a roar that she'd be eating books.
No more.
No more.
But she was lying again.
She took one bite of the cottage cheese.
And she didn't like it.
You don't think so? Do you think she liked cottage cheese?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let's see. Look, she's sniffing it. Ever had cottage cheese and meatballs together?
No.
That doesn't sound good to me either. Then she ate 3 books of recipes.
Oh no.
So if she ate the recipes, maybe she can find something that she likes to eat instead of the books. Look, this one, you can see the teeth marks. Oh my goodness.
Wait, they're happy? I think it says 4 upon.
All the little pages are just flying out everywhere because she's chomping on the book.
Uh-oh.
She took a walk to clear her head. Down to the soccer field she fled. Coach Burley blew his whistle loudly, pointing to his players proudly. I've got problems of my own. The soccer field is overgrown. Can't mow the grass, can't pick the weeds. You're not the only one with needs. Be a winner, no more cheating, 'cause library books are not for eating. Look at those poor kids can't play soccer, can they? The grass is too tall.
Yeah.
Can you think of something that might help the coach?
I think it's her.
What do you think she's going to do about it?
She's going to eat all the grass at the ending.
Do you think? And you think that would help the soccer coach?
Yeah.
Well, that'd be better than the books, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Miss Bronte promised with a roar that she'd be eating books no more. But as Coach Burley turned his gray gaze, she ate his book of soccer plays.
Uh-oh.
The coach's book she ate. Miss Bronte packed her bags that day. I'm sorry I cannot stay. It's not that I find books so yummy, but nothing else here fills my tummy. If I could find a bulb or a seed or a blade of grass, a bush or a weed. She's starting to think, isn't she?
Yeah.
Suddenly, her plan was clear. She'd make the wild weeds
Go clear.
disappear. Yeah, right. All she had to do was eat them and let her appetite defeat them. Now Miss Bronte eats just weeds. They fill her dietary needs. The soccer team has gone unbeaten, and not a single book's been eaten.
Uh-oh.
Every morning, right at 9, Miss Bronte leads the story time. And every afternoon at 4, she's on the sidelines keeping score. Score, yep. The soccer field is as good as new. The kids run and kick where the weeds once grew. The moral of this little tale you're reading... What's the moral? What is this author trying to tell us? Library books are not for eating. A happy tale this might have been, but then they hired Mr. Finn.
Why is it
I don't know. What do you think that shark's going to do?
I think he's going to eat every book.
Are they going to have to train him not to eat books too?
Yeah. I think he's going to eat the kids.
Eat the kids? Oh no, that would be a terrible ending to this book. So this little book sort of leaves it hanging, huh? We don't really know what's going to happen when Mr. Finn comes in. So that was Library Books Are Not by Eating by Todd Tarpley. So if it's by Todd Tarpley, where are we going to find this book on the shelf?
Because of his name.
Okay, what letter starts with Tarpley? What letter is that?
T.
T, right. So this book is in with all the other T books.
And who ate the book?
I don't know. That's just the way they decorated it in the prequel. Books are awesome, right?
Yeah, but do not eat them.
Right, do not eat them. All right, boys and girls, today we have talked about books and have learned a little bit about how they're put on the shelf at the library, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I think it's about time to say goodbye. You want to say goodbye to our TV audience? Let's stand up and say bye. Say bye.
Bye.